Good evening. I'm Kevin Walker with the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody here to our Ward 4 Candidate Forum for the Overland Park City Council, featuring our candidates Amy Antrim and Scott Mosher. We'll be able to hear from them here in a few minutes, but let me start by saying tonight's forum is sponsored by the Johnson County Public Policy Council, which is a collaborative effort of the 10 chambers of commerce that operate in Johnson County. Collectively, we represent more than 5,000 businesses throughout the county. In addition to forums such as this, we also invite candidates to fill out a candidate questionnaire, and the recording of tonight's proceedings with their candidate questionnaires will be posted on our website, which is www.votejoco.com, and should be up there pretty quickly. So again, tonight our candidates Amy Antrim and Scott Mosher. Before we started tonight, we drew lots, and Amy will be going first, and then we will just go back and forth throughout the entire evening. And each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statement. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and then at the end, each candidate will have another 2 minutes for their closing statement. Because this is a forum and not a debate, we do not build in time for rebuttals or anything like that. So just wanted to make that clear. All of the questions were written by the Johnson County Public Policy Council, and they're consistent across all 10 chambers and all the cities where we do these events. And we will not be taking questions from the audience. And so really that's where we are. And as I said, we drew lots, and Amy drew number 1. So we're going to start with our opening statements. And Amy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you to the Overland Park Chamber for hosting this important forum. As Kevin mentioned, I'm Amy Antrim, and I'm running for Overland Park City Council Ward 4. A little bit about me. I graduated from Kansas State University with a degree in psychology and a minor in business, and an emphasis on industrial and organizational psychology. Early in my career, I worked as a job coach and a caseworker for adults with mental illness. That experience really impacted the way that I look at community service and how local law enforcement work together, and how impactful that partnership can be when people are struggling. While that work was meaningful, it was not my calling, so I got my real estate license and moved to Overland Park. I started out in new home construction, working with builders and developers and corporate relocation teams. I helped developers and builders understand what the market was saying to them so that they could respond to what the greater community was looking for. For the last 13 years, my business has been almost entirely referral-based, built on relationships, trust, and results. I've been honored to be recognized in Forbes magazine and received the 5-star Best in Client Satisfaction for the last 16 years. But beyond my career, I have always believed in giving back. I volunteered with the Red Cross, supported 3 elementary PTOs, led at Building Better Moms. I've mentored new agents, and served on our board in several committees to elevate our professional standards. My husband and I have raised our family here in Overland Park, and this city means so much to us. We have benefited from the nourishing business environment that has grown and sustained my business, as well as the many programs and great schools that our daughters have attended. Over the past 2 decades, I have spent my business hours listening to people from all walks of life, first-time buyers, families, retirees, and I've been learning and matching what they value to our community. And that's exactly the perspective I want to bring to City Council: a strong listener, communicator, problem solver, aiming to help Overland Park continue to be a place where we can all thrive together.
Thank you, Amy. Scott, your opening comments?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Scott Mosher, and I'm glad to be here at this forum with the Chamber, and I thank you for that. I started out with the City Council at a meeting, at the City Council meeting one night, trying to fight for and be an advocate for the neighborhood around the golf course there off 127th Street. They had a problem with the fence that they were building. They wanted to tear it down, and the city didn't want to honor an agreement from the very beginning that they had made to the homeowners around there, so I kind of rolled up my sleeves with the homeowners, and that's what got me started. That, and along with my son, who was a policeman in Overland Park. He had gone to the city council and was trying to get some benefits for new officers because they didn't have any sick leave and they didn't have any vacation time. So because of COVID, he was trying to get the city to pitch in, so to speak, if they had problems. Well, between the two of them, I decided to run for the city council. I went to city council meetings. I went to some of the committee meetings in order to get acclimated. Got with a lot of the council members and actually sat down and had meetings with them and just investigated what city council was all about. That was one of the reasons why I decided that as I became a councilman, I picked up several things that I was trying to change in the city. One of them was chip seal, which is still a city issue, but also to the amount of apartments and also the sponsorship of police and fire and first responders. So I decided to take those up, and I believe I have been somewhat successful in remedying some of that. One of the things that I was instrumental in was making sure that we started on the top end with concrete so that we can eventually get rid of chip seal, and of course total support for the police and fire.
Well, Scott, thank you for that. We will now transition to our questions. Scott, you'll answer this first one first. As a candidate, what are your top 3 policy issues?
Well, the top 3 policy issues for me, the first one is taxes. And it's the raising of taxes by our city council. I don't believe that the residents, even though you will hear from staff and everybody else that our tax rate is the lowest, because it is. But you got to remember that everybody raises their taxes every year, so as long as you're the lowest, I guess that's still okay, but there's still a huge increase in taxes, and we have increased that over the last 3 years. One of the things that I am not for is the revenue neutral, raising taxes based on appraised value. I think that our residents are being overtaxed from that standpoint. For instance, this year, one of the things that had come up was we could have not raised the revenue neutral. We could have left it with all the money that we had as a city in our rainy day funds, so to speak. Another issue that I have is, of course, is the roadways, and still I have work left undone there. We still need to get rid of chip seal. We're working on it. We started with concrete on one end. We're doing a lot more mill and overlay, and so we also changed the process, which I was instrumental in investigating, of chip seal. It's not the real big aggregate that was very sharp and dangerous. It's now changed a bit, and it's very fine, so we're starting to make headway there. But it's a necessary thing for right now. And then the last thing that I would like to see is I would like to see affordable homes. We do need here in Overland Park affordable homes. We've started that process, and this is something that I look forward to finishing.
Amy, same question for you. As a candidate, what are your top 3 policy issues?
That's a big question, and the 3 big priorities that stand out to me are public safety, economic vitality, and housing affordability as well. So from my psychology roots, safety has to come first. When people feel safe, everything in a community works better. That means that continuing to support the men and women who protect us with strong training, modern tools, and mental health resources can aid our first responders in the field and off. When our officers and first responders have what they need, everyone benefits. We have made progress in this area, as Scott was saying. The last several years, they implemented the OPCAT program in a partnership with Johnson County Mental Health. But we need to remain vigilant in supporting the growing need for our officers and community. And part of that vigilance is also looking at how technology and the changing environment that we're in impact our safety needs. So thinking about, what I'm hearing at the doors is electronic scooters, that a lot of kids are running around on electronic scooters and they don't have helmets, and so that's something I would like to address as well. A strong, vibrant community depends on a healthy local economy. Smart investments in infrastructure and partnership with businesses help Overland Park to grow in the right way. So we need to walk and chew gum at the same time, keeping property taxes low and still deliver great services. Third, housing affordability. Being a realtor, here and across the country, prices are rising, and it's getting harder for young families and seniors alike to find housing that's attainable. So we need to work with builders and developers to create innovative, attainable housing that people can actually own, whether that's single-family homes, patio villas, condos, townhouses, and we've made progress, but it's time that we get more aggressive in this area.
Amy, we'll start our next question with you, and the question is, what are your views on the services and value the city's citizens receive for their local tax dollars?
I believe the residents in Overland Park are getting a very good value for their tax dollars. Compared to our neighboring Johnson County cities, our mill levy is one of the lowest with just 14.3%, while Lenexa, Olathe, and Shawnee are all over 20%. And that shows that we've managed growth responsibly while continuing to deliver excellent services. Now, it's true that rising home values have increased the tax burdens, especially for seniors and our residents that are on a fixed income. And that's why I support the program that was piloted this year for tax relief. I'd like to see it expanded with higher income thresholds so that more people can benefit, balancing our fiscal responsibility with compassion in order to keep our community affordable and welcoming. It's not just about dollars, though, it's about communication. I think that people need to know what they are getting for those tax dollars, and communication is what I've built my career on. People need to know what they're paying for and what they're getting in return, and that helps them make confident decisions about their bigger investments. So city government should work the same way. When things run smoothly, people don't know the why we work so well, but that's exactly where communication matters most. We want to make sure residents understand not only what services they're receiving, but the quality and value behind them. Open and honest communication builds trust, and when people feel informed, respected, and part of the process, that's when we can all see and value what we're getting in our community.
Scott, I'll repeat the question, same one for you. What are your views on the services and value the city's citizens receive for their local tax dollars?
Well, I think the city has grown in this area. They are really receiving quite a bit for their tax dollars. We've started many programs with the police department. In the fire department, the OPSCAT program is something that we started a couple of years ago. We've also been able to raise the starting salary and step increases for the police departments so that we can solve some of their staffing issues which directly relate to public safety. We also, from a standpoint of roadways, with a 3/8 cent sales tax, we're rebuilding bridges. We're doing some of the maintenance things that have been put off for quite a while. It's important that we have good roadways, that we get rid of chip seal, and that we keep working in that area, and that's what our tax money has been going to. As far as tax relief for seniors and the program that we voted in, I first voted against it. And the reason I voted against it is because it didn't go far enough. We had a very small sampling that we were going to do a pilot with, and I felt that that was just not something that we should do. We should do it for everybody, and give everybody equal opportunity so that they could get the tax breaks. We really need to come up with a better way to tax our residents. I would like to put together a commission on this time while I'm on the council for the next 4 years put together a commission so we can look at that and how we can actually help not just seniors, but even young families to buy and reside here in Overland Park. Apartments is not the answer. I live in an apartment, and I can tell you I pay more for my apartment than you do for your home, just based on value in Overland Park. So we need to come up with a better way to monitor our taxes and to give a break to our residents.
Next question, we'll start with you, Scott. What changes, if any, would you like to see in the city budget?
I think the city budget is well thought out. I voted for the city budget. I believe that it was well thought out, well prepared, and there's been a lot of discussion about city budget being increased by about 6%. And this is something that happens every year, but a lot of that had to do with the staffing of the Overland Park Police Department. At one time, we were down 40 officers. And with the new chief and the work that the council has done with the chief and the city manager, the mayor, in getting step increases added, getting starting salaries raised, these are all things that have affected the budget. Also equipment. We just voted in, millions of dollars worth of equipment for Overland Park Police Department, state of the art, because it's that equipment that actually will help keep our officers safe. It's very important that the fire department has modern day equipment as well to make it easier for them to fight fires. We just, through the Hero Fund, through a grant with them, bought a hose roller. And while you don't think that a hose roller is that important, those fire hoses are extremely heavy, and this is a machine that actually rolls them up and allows them to stack them and gets all the water out of it. So, I mean, these are the kinds of things that we do for our first responders that we need to do. The budget itself, as far as getting rid of chip seal, working concrete on the other end, building the bridges, all that stuff is in there, public works. All these things are something that we've increased the budget on, and I think the residents will benefit directly from that. So I'm okay with the budget, and some people say that it's too high, but I think we have enough money in the rainy day fund to fund the budget, and still we end up with a surplus every year, and it's time to give that back to our residents.
Amy, same question to you. What changes, if any, would you like to see in the city budget?
Well, that's a great question, and to be honest, I wouldn't walk in on day one claiming to know exactly what should change in the city's budget. What I can promise is that I would approach it with a real fiscal responsibility and a respect for the hard-earned money of our residents. In my professional life, I've helped families make big financial decisions, and it's taught me to weigh every dollar carefully and ask good questions to be sure people understand the why behind the numbers. I also work with investors and help them cultivate and calculate their return, and asking questions that reveal unexpected expenses. And I take that approach in city government as well. While all of our budget information is available online, it's not always easy for residents to understand how it all fits together. And I'd love to see the city use more clear graphics and visual tools on our website beyond just numbers to help people see exactly where their tax dollars go, how funds are prioritized, and how those choices impact their daily lives. I also think it's very important to get input from residents about what services they value most. So once we've covered the basics, the public safety, the infrastructure, maintaining core services, then we should prioritize based on what matters most to the people who live here. I'm really eager to dig in and see what we can, how we can be forward-thinking while still being fiscally responsible and planning for the future, making sure every dollar is spent wisely.
Our next question will start with you, Amy. What role, if any, do you believe the city should play in economic development to bring jobs and capital investment to the community?
I believe the city's role in economic development is to create conditions where the business can thrive. That means maintaining a strong infrastructure, keeping taxes stable, and making it easy for quality employees to choose, or employers to choose Overland Park, simply because it's a great place to do business and to live. When it comes to incentives, I believe they should be used sparingly, and only when the project clearly benefits the residents, enriches the community, and aligns with the city's long-term vision, like what's been outlined in Framework OP. Tools like TIFs can help attract quality jobs, redevelopment, but they need to include safeguards and accountability to ensure that those projects deliver what they promise without shifting the burden to taxpayers. The city also plays an important role in forging partnerships with the chamber, our schools, local businesses, to attract and retain a diverse mix of employers, including small businesses and corporate offices. That diversity keeps our economy balanced and resilient. I saw this in 2008 when things were going poorly in the economy. Our diversity here in Overland Park insulated our investments, so we were not hit as hard as other parts of the country. So ultimately, the goal of development should be to strengthen the community, bringing in good jobs, supporting local families, and ensuring growth improves the quality of life for everyone here.
Scott, same question for you. What role, if any, do you believe the city should play in economic development to bring jobs and capital investment to the community?
Well, as far as economic development, the city has been doing a really good job of that. We brought in some major employers, and for instance, let's talk about the Asperia renovation. Here we had some office buildings that were vacated by Sprint years ago, and we wanted to bring a company in, so we actually created an incentive for them to remodel the old office complex there so that they could reside there. These are the kinds of things that from an economic development standpoint, we're taking old buildings and renovating them. Same thing with City Hall. We took a look at building a new City Hall, but instead we bought an existing building, and we're now going to renovate that and make it into the City Hall. I think we have too many office complexes around that need to be renovated, even here in Corporate Woods. We're working towards that right now. But there are some developments that, I would question. We have a development there on 151st Street with the Incredible that has been a total nightmare. But then again, you look on the other side where you have Blue Hawk that has been one of the best things that the city has done. There was a lot of, opportunity for that to be negative, but they've been able to turn that into a very vibrant area, and I give the developer a lot of credit for doing that. We also have developers that are building apartments, but the developers now are starting to take a look at what the residents want. And while there are some developments that are being built that the residents have protested, there are some that when there is a protest petition, the actual developer works with the residents in harmony with them and try to work things out. And there's been some really good examples of that lately. So I think we're doing very well as a city bringing new businesses here.
Scott, our next question will start with you. As the city considers future development and redevelopment projects, describe your views on how the city should best manage and balance growth.
Well, one of the things that we did to manage growth, which really takes, and I hope that it takes the burden off City Council, is the fact that we have Framework OP. We have gone through, it was put together by the residents of our community. It was pretty well thought out, and they spent a lot of time on that to kind of outline the growth and the growth potential that Overland Park has. And I think we need to stick to that. I've always been an advocate of the city making a promise and living up to their promise. And that's where I started with the fence around Nottingham Forest there around the golf course. You promise the residents you're going to do something, we need to do it. You promise, when the city makes a promise and they say, this is what we're gonna build there, there's nothing worse than a resident buying a home, and then 10, 15 years later, they're trying to put something else up there that actually, in my opinion, detracts from the city in not living up to their commitment because somebody wants to come in and build something different. So I'm hoping that the framework OP will be followed. It looks like, at least lately, that we bring that up, we follow it, and I want every resident to know that if they build a home somewhere, that they're gonna have exactly what they think they're gonna have around them. They're gonna have that there for, in the future. We could probably talk about the Royal Stadium. I'm not gonna talk a lot about it, but, take a look at the Royal Stadium going in the middle of downtown Overland Park, not downtown, but in the middle of Overland Park, and what that's gonna mean to the residents. And in talking to the residents around us, around me, when I'm talking, we talk about congestion, we talk about all those things. So, responsible development, we don't have those issues as long as we follow framework OP.
Amy, same question to you. As the city considers future development and redevelopment projects, describe your views on how the city should best manage and balance growth.
That's a great question. Growth is both an opportunity and a responsibility. And after more than 20 years in real estate, I've seen firsthand how thoughtful development can strengthen a community and how unchecked or poorly planned growth can create long-term challenges. So for me, the key is balance. Growth should align with our city's long-term vision, like the goals outlined in Framework OP, and it should serve residents first. That means encouraging projects that improve our infrastructure, bring quality jobs, and enhance the quality of life, not just expanding for expansion's sake. I believe in using tax incentives sparingly, but only when projects clearly benefit our residents and enrich the community. It adds a lasting value. Every deal should include safeguards and accountability to make sure the promises are kept by the taxpayers and the taxpayers are protected. We also need to think about how we grow, ensuring a healthy mix of housing options for families and seniors, protecting our green spaces, and investing in roads and trails and public amenities that keep our neighborhoods connected. Growth shouldn't happen to our community, it should happen with the community. And the community's involvement in Framework OP is a good example of that, and something that we should definitely be following, continuing to listen to residents, communicate clearly about why decisions are made, and help ensure Overland Park continues to thrive in a way that respects our values and vision.
We'll move on to our next question. Amy, you'll start first with this one. What is your philosophy on the role the city should play in terms of metro area issues?
Metro area. What happens in our city truly, and in the neighboring cities, truly impacts us, and that's why Overland Park should take an active leadership role in our regional issues. Whether it's economic development, public safety, infrastructure, quality of life initiatives, our city has the opportunity and the responsibility to help set the tone for the metro. As the largest city in Johnson County, Overland Park should lead by example through good governance, transparency, and strong partnerships, working together with organizations like the Chamber and the Kansas City Chamber, as well as the MARC, and help strengthen our regional economy. Locally, we can also lead through collaborations, partnering with our school district, Johnson County Community College, support our local workforce development, and our parks and Johnson County Parks and Rec to expand our trails and recreation opportunities. These partnerships help keep Overland Park connected and healthy and an even better place to live. By leading with purpose and collaboration, we can ensure that the regional decisions promote efficient services, sustainable growth, and a shared sense of prosperity across the metro. So when we lead, the entire region benefits.
Scott, same question to you. What is your philosophy on the role the city should play in terms of metro area issues?
Overland Park has been the leader in Johnson County for quite a while. We're considered one of the best places to live, work, and play, and there's a reason for that, and it's because Overland Park does lead in a lot of categories as far as trying things for the first time. For instance, the OPSCAT program is something that other agencies will be picking up, I'm sure. As far as development goes, Overland Park has put in some major projects that have shown that these major projects can work, like Blue Hawk. We have our soccer stadium. It's not a stadium, but our soccer complex that actually leads and shows that from a standpoint of resident amenities, we lead in that category. So I think as long as Overland Park continues to be progressive from a standpoint of, everything from parks and recreation to new builds as far as down south with neighborhoods, we're leading when it comes to affordable homes. We're doing pilots there. We're looking at tax, leading from the tax side of it in our pilot program there of trying to give tax relief. So Overland Park has a history of always being out front, and that's something that we as a city need to continue to do. Not only from development, like I said, but also from the amenities that we offer. And, we have a great downtown, we have a farmer's market being built. So these are the kinds of things that make it worthwhile to live in Overland Park as we continue. The last thing I want to talk about is neighborhood pools from a standpoint of leading. We have a pool system that we need to improve. We need to put a neighborhood pool back in. And these are some things that I think that camaraderie and the family is all about that, where they can get around the pool and not like a splash park, and that they can, relax with each other and value their neighborhoods.
You both have touched on this next question quite a bit, but we're going to dig into it anyway, and Scott, we'll start with you. Do you believe the city is headed in the right direction?
I think the city of Overland Park is headed in the right direction from a standpoint of development. So from that standpoint, yes. I think Framework OP was a huge step in trying to improve our city, to allow developers to know exactly what they're going to expect when they come into Overland Park. It's the reason why businesses are taking a look at us, a second, a third look, and then moving in, is because of the way our city is currently functioning from a development standpoint. Using old office buildings, renovating, taking our park system and renovating that, making our trails a little better. I think building a neighborhood pool would be something that we need to get behind wholeheartedly. But yes, I think the city of Overland Park is moving in the right direction, not only from a development standpoint, but also from a first responder standpoint. We're outfitting and giving the proper equipment to our police departments, fire departments, like I mentioned earlier. We're giving them top-of-the-line equipment that will improve their efficiencies and their safety. And it's all about safety when it comes to our first responders. And I can tell you that modern-day equipment makes them safe. Having the drones, having the body cams, these types of things, having the radio systems that we have, this is all real important to keep them safe. And we want people to live here. We want people to move in. And I also think that if we can control our taxes and we can get rid of the tax increases that we have on a regular basis and actually return those back to our citizens, I think that that probably cap Overland Park, as far as I'm concerned, with the best place to live, play, and work.
Amy, do you believe the city is headed in the right direction?
I think we both kind of said that already, but I'll say it again, that I do believe Overland Park is headed in a good direction. We're consistently ranked among some of the best one of the best places to live in the country year after year, and that's not an accident. It's a result of decades of leadership and careful planning and a community that truly cares about maintaining our high quality of life. That said, it's important that we don't become complacent. To keep moving forward, we need to continue fostering strategic and sustainable growth. Growth that's thoughtful and balanced and aligned with the long-term vision of our city. When we grow our tax base, that helps to keep our taxes lower. And while we are doing that strategically, we need to protect what makes Overland Park special and be open to new opportunities and innovation as we see it. There are areas we can improve. We need to communicate more clearly with residents about how the decisions are made and how their tax dollars are used. We need to continue investing in public safety and maintain our strong neighborhoods and ensure our infrastructure keeps up with the demand of the growth that we're having. And we need to balance all that. And we also need to stay focused on housing options that meet both the needs of young families and our seniors. Our success has come from collaboration and vision, and if we stay fiscally responsible and continue to listen to residents and plan for the future with care, I'm confident that this city will stay vibrant, welcoming, and competitive for generations to come.
Well, depending on how you feel about sitting in the hot seat, you'll either be relieved or disappointed to know this is the last question. And Amy, we'll start with you with this one. What do you believe makes you uniquely qualified to serve in this position and most distinguishes you from your opponent?
What makes me uniquely qualified to serve is my experience and thoughtful approach and commitment to serving others well. For more than 20 years, I've built my career helping families making one of the biggest decisions in their lives, finding a home and a community. That work requires patience, clear communication, and the ability to solve problems under pressure. Those skills are the same for public service. And I'm someone who listens carefully and asks questions, and I work to find common ground. I believe residents deserve open, honest communication and a representative who's available and responsive when they reach out. Beyond my career, I've been proud to serve in many community roles, as I mentioned in my opening statement, and those experiences have shaped my belief that leadership is about showing up and listening and putting people first. What sets me apart is my thoughtful, forward-looking approach. I'm focused on making responsible decisions that keep Overland Park safe, well-managed, prepared for the future, without losing sight of what makes it already a wonderful place to live. This isn't really about politics, it's about service, and I'm ready to bring that mindset to represent our community.
Thank you. Scott, same question. What do you believe makes you uniquely qualified to serve in this position and most distinguishes you from your opponent?
Well, I have to admit, I don't know Amy very well, so I can't say what would distinguish me from her. But I will say that I've learned a lot over the last 3.5 years, getting ready to hopefully start my next 4. But I've learned a lot as city councilman. I started in the city council as far as, with the death of my son, donating my time to the police department well before I actually got on the city council. My son was the president of the FOP and got me involved with that, so I've supported the police long before I become a councilman. And it was because of them that I did become a councilman. I have a lot yet to do, and one of the things that I have done is when I first started off, I investigated the position. I went to the meetings. I tried to understand what a councilman did, and because I didn't want to just walk into it blindly. And I think I fulfilled that role. I brought common sense to the city council. I always, as a person once told me, you don't always vote the way that I do, but at least when you vote, you have a good solid reason as to what your votes are. And I will continue to do that. I listen to those that have put me there. I support sometimes, even though I may think a project is good, when there's a protest petition, I've always supported the residents there because they're the ones that put me there. And I've always tried to work out with the protest petition, work out a compromise ahead of time, and I've been appreciated for that. I will continue to work tirelessly with the police and first responders. I'll work at trying to continue the replacement of roads and things like that that need to be, which are probably the two most important things to residents besides taxes. So I'll continue to listen to them, continue to do the things that I do for them with their blessing.
Well, I want to thank you both for sharing your thoughts on these topics we've covered tonight. We certainly appreciate your time. We'll now turn to our closing statements or closing comments. Both of you have 2 minutes each, and we'll start with Scott.
Okay. In my last 3.5 years as councilman for Ward 4, I've been somebody that anybody could call and talk to me, and this is something that the residents know. They have my personal phone number. I don't give them the city number to call. I give them my personal cell phone. When they have a problem, I go out and I talk with them and I walk them through the problem, and I take my resources, which is city staff and in some cases the mayor and or other councilmen, city manager, and apply those towards that problem to see if we can't come up with a good compromise. An example of that was when we're replacing all the ash trees here in Overland Park, as we should. When the city was replacing the grass around the trees, they were just putting grass seed out. Well, you have residents that take real pride in their yards, and their yards are beautiful except where they took out the trees and there's all these weeds and different grasses growing in the middle of their beautiful yards. So I saw that problem as I was driving through a neighborhood. I stopped and talked to the residents and asked them what had happened, because you don't know of all the trees that have been replaced. You don't know. And I said, what's causing this? Was it something the city did? And that's where I learned about it. So I went to the director and we had a conversation about it. And while that project has somewhat moved on, in the future we're going to look at that and maybe customize if we do any replacements as to what kind of grass they have. It's something that simple that the city residents have a problem with, and I would have that problem too. I take myself and put it out there for everybody. I'm very accessible, and I believe that moving forward I'll be able to finish the things that I've started, and I think the residents will appreciate that.
Amy, your 2 minutes.
Well, Overland Park is an incredible place to live, work, and play, raise a family, and I want to make sure it stays that way for everyone at every stage of life. I'm running because I care deeply about our community, and I believe that thoughtful, service-minded leadership makes a big difference. I'll bring a practical, forward-looking approach, one grounded in listening and fiscal responsibility and open communication. As our population ages, we need to think creatively about housing, accessibility, and quality of life options so longtime residents can stay in the community that they help to build. At the same time, we must keep Overland Park welcoming and vibrant and affordable for young professionals and families and future generations. I'm not a career politician. I'm a neighbor who wants to give back to the city that's given my family so much. Together we can continue building a welcoming and well-run Overland Park and a city that we're proud to call home today and for the future and future generations. I'm Amy Antrim, and I want to be your next Ward 4 City Council person.
Amy and Scott, I want to thank you both for participating in our forum tonight. I thought a very civil conversation, which I'm sure the voters greatly appreciate. Also want to thank you, for both of you, for your willingness to serve the people of Johnson County if you should get elected. Let me remind the audience that a recording of today's forum, along with our other election-related information, will be available on our Policy Council's website, which is www.overlandpark.org. www.votejoco.com. And lastly, let me just remind everyone, in-person voting begins on Saturday, October 25th, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th, so be sure to educate yourself and vote.